Writing Side Saddle. It is Lisa
and Tammy.
Here we are. We are in book club mode.
We are. So we have some really bad news first. Mary can't join us.
Not tonight.
She's sick tonight.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to do this one without her at this point. And she read this book and she was doing the journaling. And I saw her doing, she posts some videos of her on her Instagram, like in super fast speed. And I can see her, she's reading this book in those videos. And she really wanted to be here, but she's sick. And our recording schedule is really tight right now, so we just have to do it, and we're sad that she's not here.
We're gonna have to make some kind of extension of Mary and her experience with this book, because I don't want to lose out on that.
No.
But I also really give her an immense amount of credit for coming in and saying, listen, I need to honor what I'm feeling right now. And It makes me really sad to do this, but I need to cancel and I need to like honor where my body is.
Right.
Fair enough.
Absolutely.
Right. That is everything that this book is talking about.
For sure.
Really.
Yep.
And honestly, like one of the things that I aspire to, right, as a person. So to see her implement it and to, believe it and act on it, that's a big deal.
It
so
is.
I really am inspired by that. And I hope that you're, already feeling physically better. And I thank you for providing me that example,
A great example.
of really honoring where you're at right now,
Yeah.
right? Where good is might change on any given day.
Absolutely. So Mary's here in spirit.
She absolutely is. Absolutely is. And her background and her belief system and what she aspires to is directly in line with this book. So again, title is Clean Mind, Clean Body. The author is Tara Stiles. I believe that's how you pronounce her name.
So.
And what's interesting about this book is that it does set you up for a really nice plan. Right. They have some philosophy, some theory in here, and then they have some execution components to be able to break it apart into essentially a month worth to be able to kind of do some self-care for yourself.
Right. And honestly, it's not that sort of format or formula is not that different than the last book we read.
Agree.
Yeah, there was some good content and then some good, thought-provoking questions at the end of the chapter. So that is similar.
It is.
And we didn't even know that.
No.
Neither one of us had read this book before, so it just worked out that way.
Yeah, we were kind of in a little bit of a pinch, honestly, because we started reading a couple of things, had some ideas about some things, and then they just, for whatever reason, didn't work out for this particular episode. And this, this season's book club.
Yeah.
Yes. But so it was a nice coincidence.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you believe in coincidences,
well,
right?
It worked out the way it was supposed to work out.
That's a much better way to say it. Thank you. So this book is broken out into really 3 sections. It talks about clean mind, clean body, but it breaks it into really clean mind, clean body, and a spiritual component to it as well. Mm-hmm. I did do the audiobook because that is most efficient for me to be able to listen to books as opposed to sit down and read them. But this time I got a little bit smarter. I purchased the book as well so that I could put tabs in and,
look at you with your tabs,
There's
Lisa.
not 850,000,
well, whatever.
but there are probably 15 tabs. The unfortunate part is I listen when I'm doing something else. So I'm either driving, I'm in the car, I'm, sometimes I'll do it while I'm
dishes or whatever.
Yes, gardening. So I don't have my physical book in front of me while I'm listening in order to tab things. So I had to go back today and kind of do a skim over and put tabs in for the purposes of our conversation.
Got it. Well, I read the book and just tabbed it like I did before. So I have a few more than 15 tabs.
Go figure.
My tabs are smaller than yours, so perhaps they ultimately come out equal.
No, it doesn't work that way. Maybe for paper usage. But don't kid yourself, Tammy. You should go back and listen to that through a different lens.
Well, I don't have time for that. So I found the introduction thing or two. How about you?
No.
So the part that, and it actually, I was really tired when I read this book. I'd had a really long, really busy weekend, and I think I just was in a highly emotional place. But I started crying, not like bawling, but I got a little teary on the second paragraph of the introduction.
You're
I was like,
great.
oh God, I don't have enough tabs.
I'm going to have to use my dirty Kleenex to tab these things.
Yes. So my first tab is in the second paragraph.
It's okay, Tammy.
The part that hit me was how we subscribe to the cult of being crazy busy. We brag about our stress and wearing our sleep deprivation as a badge of honor. We throw around words like self-care, but we don't understand the meaning of wellness.
Yeah.
That got me. And this I think this is where I started getting teary. Most of us only get serious about tending to our minds and our bodies when we are in crisis. When we're sick, we're sluggish, we're stressed out beyond belief, consumed by anxiety, depression, or mental fog. In search of relief, we commit to the next fad diet, we try a new workout, book a few sessions with a trainer, hoping it will make us feel better. And maybe we do that for a little bit, but it doesn't last.
Yeah. So I can appreciate where that would have invoked some emotion.
Yeah, that hit me a little too hard.
Well,
a little too close to home.
And frankly, to your point, right? Like, I think by middle age as a woman, shit, I've been there a few times, right? I may very well be there right now, right? Being in that level of crisis mode and knowing that you have to change something about your life because it's not sustainable the way it is, and looking for something to have immediate impact.
Yeah.
Because that's the way society...
Because I'm in a crisis.
Well, and
I
that's
need
the way
immediate.
society sets it up too. Like,
for sure.
Like, you need something now, you need something fast, do something.
Right.
And unfortunately, the longer road, the proactive road, you're far past that road at that point. Mm-hmm. Right? Like,
oh, gosh, yeah.
Yeah. So I can appreciate where that might have invoked some emotion.
I think it's also, so you start something, right? A new workout, a new diet, or, whatever. And then you start to feel a little better. And it's sort of like, okay, I'm better now.
Right.
I'm fixed. I'm good now.
Right.
Well, you're not.
When you're
just out of a crisis.
Right. When it's just an inch fixed as opposed to like truly changed behavior,
Absolutely.
Sustainable fixed.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't. No.
There is no shortcuts to this kind of thing.
No.
Even a 28-day, physical, mental, and spiritual detox, that kind of is like capturing that concept of short term, right? You can do this in 28 days. And that was actually one of the thoughts that I had as I was wrapping up today, kind of taking a look over my book. Like, this is not something that I could do in a month and feel like it's sustainable. If I were to do this for 28 days, it would feel a little bit like a fad type of thing. I would very quickly and easily go back to old habits.
Absolutely.
And I think, I get that you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And I feel that, I agree with that. But I think maybe, for me personally, it doesn't mean that this is for everybody, but for me personally, maybe I would need to spend 28 days on a mental detox. And maybe then I would spend 28 days on more of a spiritual perspective and then a body perspective, so that it feels like I have truly brought this into my lifestyle as opposed to a hard
One
and
week.
fast 1 month. And
One week I do this. The next
Yeah.
week I add that. That might be too fast paced.
For me, it would be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that. And you don't like baby steps, so that's interesting.
But it wouldn't be baby steps. It would be, I'm going to focus on this portion for a more extended period of time so that I could really get it into my lifestyle.
Until it's your habit.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Not dip in a little bit to mental and a little bit to spiritual and a little bit to body and then see how that goes and then dip all the way in. Like, I'm committed, but I'm doing it slower.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It also feels a little more manageable.
It does.
So I don't know, I was through most of the book before I went to bed on Sunday night. I woke up Monday morning feeling very stressed. Got some really tight deadlines at work. Like, I have too much to do. We had such a busy weekend, so I didn't get any housework done. I didn't get any laundry done. The thistles in my yard are still, winning the war. And I woke up feeling like, oh, great. So now I'm supposed to start this new journey. Now I'm supposed to find time to meditate today.
Right.
I went to bed thinking tomorrow is the day.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is day one of a
doing
new life for me.
Feeling good about it.
Yes. And over the night, all that stuff is churning, and I woke up feeling incredibly anxious and a time shortage, like, for sure. And feeling like this is one more area of my life, one more thing to remind me that I'm not doing it right.
Yeah. And it's set up against you, right?
Yes.
Like, how can I do it right if I can't make the space and have the energy and feel good about taking those steps?
Absolutely.
Like, everything's working against me.
Right. But that's exact opposite of what she says in this book.
It is.
Do X for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You don't have to exercise for 3 hours.
Right.
That's not what she's saying. You don't have to meditate for an hour every day. She's not saying that either.
Right.
A couple of minutes.
Right.
Couple of minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Take a short break. Like, when you take your lunch break, take a few minutes out of that lunch break to meditate or to just go for a quiet walk or, get
Do
some
something
movement in your
physical.
body.
Right.
Right. She is not at all saying it's an all or nothing sort of thing. My mindset, it does compartmentalize these things. I don't have time to do that because it's a whole big chunk of time. I don't have time to exercise because it's not just about exercising. Then I'll get sweaty. Then I have to take a shower. Then I have to start my day all over. And now it's, an hour or two later.
Right.
And I'm getting back to the work that I didn't even have time to take a
what's
break
most
from in the first
important?
part.
Right. This is the most
Yes.
pressing thing. So I don't have time for all of those other things.
Yes.
I totally find myself there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think one thing that I appreciated just wholeheartedly about the book, before you really dive into each of the individual sections or chapters, is that in listening to it, this stuff is pretty basic stuff. Like, it isn't mind-blowing new concepts, like cutting edge types of things. It is basic stuff that I already know. I know this. I know these things. But the point is, ... I don't practice them.
Right.
I don't take the time to put them into practice.
Yep.
And right there is like the ledge that I fall off of.
Yes. At least someone's not pushing you off the ledge.
I fell. I fell off the ledge because I don't apply them.
Right.
So it's kind of nice. Like, this book is kind of nice because I'm like, well, yes, of course. I could take 5 minutes to meditate in the morning. Am I great at meditating? No, but I don't ever chunk it into 5 minutes either. I try to I have to create the space and I have to set out, 30 minutes or an hour of time. And then my mind starts to, go crazy, or I fall asleep, or,
Right.
I don't do baby steps with it, right? I'm like all in. and then I expect something miraculous to happen.
Right.
Well, I don't know. It could just be 5 minutes in the morning to level set a bit. So I really appreciated that. One of the things that she connects with, so the book, as I had mentioned, it breaks it into 3 sections, but it takes some similar concepts and it applies it consistently between mind, between spirituality and physical body. And it has you do the very similar types of, I don't want to say exercises because that drives towards physicality, but the concepts are the same, and it just applies it slightly differently based on, whether she's talking about your mind, spirituality, or body. And I really appreciated that too, because a lot of the things that we've talked about in the past as writing Side Saddle is how interconnected those things are, right? If you're not in a good place from an emotional perspective or a mental perspective, it's a really big leap to be able to get yourself in a place physically where you're healthy. Like, it's almost impossible.
Agreed.
You're working against yourself if you're not working in that continuum. And for her to take those concepts and weave them into those 3 really big aspects of life, I appreciated that as well.
I agree. Yeah, I liked that she started out with the first chapter is mental detox. And she goes into, not just like clearing your mind to meditate, but in order to have a clean mind, you need a clean space. So decluttering your closets or, your countertops or whatever. I know when I feel very overwhelmed, the first thing that goes is cleaning. And then it adds to my feeling of overwhelmment.
Yeah.
Every time I walk somewhere and I see a dust bunny or a pile of mail on the counter or clothes where they're not supposed to be, it makes me feel like, oh, one more thing. And it adds to my feeling of overwhelm rather than making me feel like I'll just take that off my plate for a little bit. So, this morning when I was feeling very much like, oh, I can't meditate. How am I supposed to fit this is never going to work. This is too hard. And then I'm looking around and I'm seeing again, the dust bunnies and like, you know what? I need 5 minutes to vacuum.
Yeah.
And after I vacuumed for 5 minutes, I felt so much better. Even just vacuuming.
Right. So,
and then I was able to tackle the next thing and the next thing. And, one thing at a time. I was able to focus at work. But I had to do that one thing to get me out of that, like that spiral that I had worked myself up into a lather. So my head wasn't clean. I couldn't even focus on work, which is where I really needed to focus. But I couldn't because everything was too much. It was all too overwhelming. But vacuuming is easy and it doesn't take that long. So yeah,
I agree. I tabbed the same thing. So creating sanctuary.
Yeah.
Clutter for me is a really significant indicator as to what level of chaos I'm in.
Absolutely.
I don't like a cluttery space when things start to build up. It gives me anxiety.
Yeah.
And to your point, if things have gotten to a place where there's lots of clutter, I know I'm not in a good mental space.
Right.
And I can't get out of that spiral, as you referred to it as, until I do some fundamental basic cleaning, just so that I can be in a more healthy mental state. And then breathe. I can achieve things.
Yeah.
Right.
I can look around and I can breathe.
Yeah. So speaking of breathing, that's one of the things that she repeats consistently throughout the different parts of this book. And literally in, chapter 1, page 1 is where I tabbed it because it is so breathing. It's such a core function of life. Yeah. Like I remember younger, being a kid, well, how long can you live without eating? And how long can you live without breathing? And, there's not breathing. Water, right. Thank you. There's a long duration of time, relatively speaking, that you could live without food or, hydration, as it relates to how long can you live without breathing.
Yeah.
Right. And it's something.
It's like seconds, really.
It is.
Right?
It's
or at a few minutes at most. Yeah.
Right.
Before you're brain dead.
It is something so fundamental to our life.
Yep.
But it's something that is so silent that perhaps it's just very much overlooked. I remember when I was a younger woman, for whatever reason, I started to pay attention to my breath. And it wasn't in a positive manner. I realized, before I knew anything about breathing or how you should breathe even, not that I practice it well, but I'm knowledgeable about it, at least. Before I even had that level of knowledge, I would notice how shallow my breath was. Like, my lungs barely moved. And I was like, wow, that's fascinating. I didn't even really connect it to a good or a bad thing. I just noticed it to say, I'm barely moving my lungs at all.
That's interesting.
And that is my state of being. That was a normal for me.
Right.
So even to simply pay attention to the quality of your breath, it's a huge aspect of living or clean, right? Clean body, clean mind, clean, spirituality, whatever, that we don't even consider.
No.
So I loved the different practices in here that she has with relation to breathing.
Right. What is kind of fascinating, really. So, we think about, well, if I'm going to work out, I have to have the right clothes. I definitely need the right shoes, equipment, gym membership, whatever it is. But that's not the first step. The first step is something that you do every day anyway, but pay no attention to whatsoever.
Yeah.
And don't do it to the benefit of your body. You do it enough to sustain your life.
Right.
But it is not actually being the benefit that it can be.
Right.
And it's totally free.
From a spectrum perspective, right, where we take in enough to sustain ourselves,
right,
but not enough to be powerful.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Right. I agree. I'm just going to jump in. So my next tab is with relation to goals. So she talks about...
What page are you on?
Page 50... No, sorry. My eyes are bad in here.
I was going to say, what?
No, page 14.
Okay.
Journal it out. It says feel good goals. And I've been in corporate America my whole damn life, right? And as it relates to, your annual reviews and goal setting and KPIs and, all of these pieces, goals are very, very, very concrete. There are aspects of goals that you need to incorporate to make sure that, you can determine whether or not you've met a goal or you've missed a goal, and, SMART goals and all of this yes. But her goals, it struck me. And it made me actually tear up when I started to realize the power of this. She refers to it as feel-good goals. So having a goal that is focused on how it makes you feel as opposed to an outcome. I'm getting teary now. Like that's inside work.
Yeah.
Right? I don't care what happens on the outside. I don't care what the outcome is. How did it make you feel? And the concept of shifting that paradigm or shifting that lens that you're looking through, is monumental. It's basic stuff. It is basic stuff, but putting it into practice and shifting from, well, what does the outside world to see, right? The outcome, as opposed to how I feel. That's enormous.
It is.
I loved it.
Yeah. I tagged that also. I think it was, I don't remember. I think it was Nikki when we had her in the studio talking about emotions and said something along the lines of, we're not really like physical beings. We are emotional beings in a physical body, or it was something along those lines. The emotion comes first, but our culture is such that the emotions come last, if they even come at all.
Correct. You usually try to bury them so that you
Absolutely.
can continue towards
Power
the
through
physical culmination.
Achievement.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So for it to be that the feeling gets you where you need to be and want to be, as opposed to setting an achievement-based goal.
That's a big deal.
That is a big deal. I have to sit with that for a little bit.
Me too. I'm going to absolutely do the journaling exercise because I think, well, for me personally, writing that out makes it more realistic. But even to invest the energy into how do I want to feel? What would make me feel good?
Yeah.
That's a complete different mindset for me.
She talked about it even in terms of decluttering. When you pick up an object, and Marie Kondo's has the magic art of tidying up or something like that. And she goes into that too. Like everything in your home should bring you joy. But when I think when you make that shift and you focus on how do I want to feel in my space, and then look around.
Yeah.
And it's not just picking up an object. Does this make me feel happy? Does this make me feel joy? It's looking at the space in its entirety and seeing it through the lens of, is this the environment I'm trying to create? Does this bring me to that feeling of being calm or passionate or peaceful or whatever? And looking at it, as a whole, collectively. And if it doesn't fit in that space, then give it away or throw it away or whatever.
Gives you anxiety, or this is too much effort for me, or like this connects to a bad emotion that I had experienced at some point.
Right.
Or, if you're looking in your
happy memory.
If you're looking in your blue jeans drawer and you have, a pair of jeans that are 4 sizes too small that you're still hopeful that you're going to get into, fucking get rid of it.
Just get rid of it.
What kind of emotion does that give you? It's not usually
probably
a
not
good
joy,
one.
probably not happiness, peacefulness, contentment.
No.
Probably not any of that.
None. Right.
Guilt,
Agree.
shame. Yeah, who needs that?
No, I have enough of that business.
Yeah.
So I don't know where your next tab is, but I move all the way to page 29.
Oh, actually, my next tab is the Marie Kondo thing about cleaning out your drawers. So we already talked about that.
Okay.
Yeah. She even talks about making your bed. We all know that's something that you should do.
Yeah, I agree.
I go through streaks.
So do I.
I'll be really good about it for a while, including throw pillows, and then one day I don't do it, and then it could be months before I make my bed again.
Yeah. So I have a concrete reason as to why I make my bed, and I do go through phases too, but it has to do with my damn dogs. I have a dog that likes to snuggle up right where he's going to smell me the most, and that is right in my bed.
Yeah.
So I don't like to have
dog hair.
Yeah, the fur, and he has a particular odor.
Sure.
Like he's a dog.
He smells like a dog.
Right. So I do oftentimes make my bed just because I don't want that on my sheets. But once it's like time to, time to wash it. Oh, I have to wash the sheets sometime soon. Then I'll stop doing it, and then I'll just get out of habit of it.
I do pull the blankets up usually, but I wouldn't call that made.
Oh,
it's not a big old pile in the middle of the bed.
Yeah.
I don't, the throw pillows don't get out.
Yeah.
It's not, the blankets aren't turned down just right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not, it's just the blankets are pulled up.
I guess I have a variety of making bed. If I'm being really, really, really honest. It depends how long I laid in the bed that morning too, right? Like, yeah, like I've unfortunately gotten into a bad habit because I've been just really tired, where I will get out of bed at the last possible second.
And then you just don't have time and you don't get back to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah. Yeah. The next thing she talks about, page 29, that's my next tab.
Yeah.
Is on page 29 is social media and the depleting effects of same. Yeah. That's, man, I don't even post really, like on my personal page or things like that. You're our social media manager. I don't engage in that way, but that doesn't mean I don't get sucked in.
Yeah, it is just an absolute energy and time suck.
Absolutely.
That I'm embarrassed sometimes I won't even look at how much time you
on
my phone, right? Because, iPhones calculate that. And I can't even look at it because it's embarrassing. I'm like, I cannot believe it. And it's not even like I'll wake up a lot in the middle of the night. So some of my time, a lot of my time, in fact, is because I'm up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And that's what I do.
Can't sleep.
I just lay there and I scroll and I scroll and I scroll.
I do to it.
I
do that too.
I know it's counterproductive. I know that,
but I can't shut my brain off.
Yes.
So I don't know what else to do.
And scientifically, that's the worst thing to do, right? Because of the blue light and all of that stuff, and it's stimulating, and it's the worst thing to do. But I do it. And if I looked at how much time I spent between, 8:30 p.m. and 6 o'clock a.m., it's probably a good couple of hours, right? At night.
Mm-hmm.
It's silly and ridiculous, and I know I shouldn't do it, and it's simply just a bad habit.
I don't know, maybe I'm just telling myself a story that doesn't really serve me, but I read books on my phone.
Yeah.
So in the middle of the night when I can't sleep, I do scroll through social media. And then I'll remember, this is not making you feel tired. So maybe you should read a book. And so then I do that, and that usually does make me feel tired as opposed to more stimulated. One more video I'm watching, one more, whatever. So, but it's still blue light. It's not like, that's not great for my brain health. That's for sure.
No. Yeah. It's just a bad habit.
It is a bad habit.
So she was talking about putting your phone into a completely different room. And I was contemplating that. However, I don't know that I could bring myself to do it. I have children.
I know.
And, even despite the fact that my children are older, right, almost 28 and almost 17, if something would happen during the night and I was not available,
I didn't get the call,
I would be heartbroken.
Absolutely.
So I just can't bring myself to that level. I understand what she's trying to accomplish, and it makes a whole ton of sense. I can't do it.
I can't either. Back when we still had landlines
house
and
phone,
house phones,
where it rang in the kitchen and you could hear it.
Right. Or even if you had a phone in your bedroom, but it was plugged into the wall somewhere.
Yeah.
There was a sense of security.
Agree.
Knowing that somebody could call you and you would hear it.
Yes.
But now that isn't a thing anymore, I'm not comfortable leaving my
No.
phone somewhere else.
No.
She even talks about it like, go for a walk and leave your phone. Could I leave my phone for 15 minutes? I mean, I'm sure I could. But then I start to think, well, what happens if I have a medical emergency while I'm out and I can't call 911 or nobody knows who I am because I don't have my phone with me, or you know what I mean? Like I don't like how those things feel either. So then I put my phone in my pocket when I go out for a walk.
I didn't even think about that. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, there was, and then, I've got a job that requires me to be accessible all of the time.
Well, and that's where she was making that connection too.
I know.
That's excessive.
It is.
The expectation is really high, and it can very quickly come into a place where it's not healthy.
I totally agree. But when the expectation is that you are available, and when you're not, there are consequences, that's a tricky one too. So, yeah, that whole leaving your phone somewhere, I'm not sure that I will get to that point.
Yeah.
At least not at this point in my life.
Maybe from a perspective of awareness,
maybe.
right? Like the middle of the night business, I could probably change that.
So what will you do instead?
I haven't
Would you
figured that out
just get
yet.
up?
No, I definitely would not get up, but I would, maybe I could try to meditate, right?
Oh.
Because that puts your brain into
True.
a mode that is quite similar to sleep.
Yeah.
And it would be much easier to transition as
That's true.
opposed to taking in information or being stimulated by, the blue light and all of those things. So
That's a good point.
Oftentimes when I wake up, I'm anxiety ridden.
For sure.
And my mind is spinning. So I can figure out and research different ways to be able to help support bringing that down.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to, okay, let's put that back in the box and
Yeah.
close that up while I look online.
Right.
And see what's going on. Yeah.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
So let's see. It's getting dark in here. I'm having a hard time seeing the page numbers. 35, I think where I'm at anyway.
All right, go ahead.
So what I appreciated about this section, it was talking about energy practitioners. And I recognize and I know that, first off, different people have different belief systems about these types of things. And,
Sure.
not everybody believes the same thing. From a medicine perspective and from an energy practitioner perspective. Also, different people have different, financial requirements. And sometimes these types of things are out of reach, no matter what your belief system is.
Yeah.
So I appreciate, the information that she had shared about the energy practitioners. But I also recognize that, different strokes for different folks. What I did pull out of this was the way she had talked about it is from a self-care perspective, it's simply a new standard. And I think that we have to start looking at it through that lens, like as opposed to at the beginning of the book when she was talking about, I'm in this crisis state and now I need to enlist this new thing, this new fad diet, this new meditation exercise. I'm going to go to yoga or, whatever, in order to combat an issue that I'm experiencing. The new standard needs to be more proactive so that you don't get to that place, right?
Right.
And whether that's leveraging an energy practitioner or that is, doing some level of different type of self-care, which isn't always, super luxurious and wonderful. Oftentimes it's
bubble baths.
a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
But flipping that flipping that concept from reactive to proactive, that's a big thing.
It is a big thing.
And I feel like we're starting to slowly get there from a societal perspective. Starting, just the tip of the iceberg.
I hope you're right.
Maybe introducing that concept where people are like, what? No. I'll be at the front of that line.
Yeah. I would like to be at the front of that line.
I think we are.
Do you?
Yeah,
I think in theory
do.
I am, but I don't know that I am in actual practice.
Well, that's exactly my point about this book. Like this, I know this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is not mind-blowing new concepts, like new age type of stuff. This is very, 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 very fundamental stuff. I know it. I'm educated about it. I read about it all the time and I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. But I don't take that
as
leap
far as it goes.
from a practice perspective.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm at the front of it because I believe it in theory, and I have to take those steps to truly make it part of my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of those things she talks about is cultivating a hobby to restore balance. She talks about how she picked up knitting somewhere along the way. And it is meditative, and it is a creative hobby that relieves stress and things like that. What I find is that when I get to that place where I am in a crisis state or near crisis state, I don't have the energy. I don't even have the energy to knit, and I like to knit.
Mm-hmm.
It like even that feels like too much. And maybe it's because I've been working on the same project for a long time and it's just sort of stalled out, or I got to a point in the pattern and I'm not really sure where to go next, or I haven't picked it up in so long that now I don't even know where I left off. And so it feels like too much work to just get back into it.
So it's become a source of stress for you.
Absolutely. So then I
Yeah.
start something new.
Oh.
Well, I'll just start this project because this will be fun and easy. And I can get there. And then the same thing happens.
Oh.
And then that pattern just keeps repeating. And I have probably a dozen projects that I've started and not finished. And then I look at that giant basket full of things and I think,
damn it.
One
There's
more-
one other thing.
yes.
That would make me very stressed out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in your 5 minutes of cleaning this morning,
Yeah.
like you were able to kind of like navigate through that overwhelmedness. So perhaps it's a matter of, okay, so I'm not going to start anything new. I'm going to just, if I have 20 minutes, I'm going to figure out where I'm at in this pattern and then set it down so that I can go ahead and do it next time. Right.
Maybe so.
And start cleaning some of that up, because I can absolutely
Yeah.
feel how much anxiety that would create.
yeah, it does.
Well, and it's meditative and it is stress relieving, but
Mhm.
yarn's expensive.
It is expensive.
Right?
Right.
It's not a cheap hobby.
Not really.
The amount of time and the amount of material that goes into the products that you create, beautifully wonderful. But if you have 10 or 12 of them sitting there,
Mm-hmm.
that's investment.
Those are just the ones that I've started. That's not the yarn that I bought to start
Something
other
different.
projects. So
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
I have hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of yarn
Yeah.
that's just sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can understand how that might be.
Yeah, so like that example, I guess the moral of that story is that I need to not get to that crisis state. I need to start doing some things that keep me much further away from that, because it doesn't take much for me to even get there.
Proactive.
Right.
So what you're saying, as you talked about it earlier, like you do the fad whatever as a reaction to
Yeah.
being in crisis, you feel, relatively
better now.
decent,
Yeah.
but it's not even close to actually
even
being
close.
decent, because you go right over the edge again
Absolutely.
when the next thing happens, because you're still so close.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh.
Right. One of the other things she
feel
talks
that,
about is
yeah.
taking vacations. That like really, whether it's a staycation or a daycation,
Yeah.
schedule time away regularly. And visiting family at holidays doesn't count.
No,
So-
because sometimes that can
Sometimes
cause
that can be-
crisis.
sometimes it can. You know, gosh, who doesn't love to go on vacation?
I do.
I do,
Right.
but it's not
Time
that's not
and money
all that.
and scheduling
Right.
and all of those things come into play.
Right.
Yeah. And
I can
priorities at
do a
work.
staycation too,
Yeah.
but then I'm always close to my phone, and
Yeah. Fair enough.
yeah, it's these are great ideas. They're just not, again, in theory, I'm all there. In reality, it's another story.
Well, and to that, and I'm right there with you, girl. Like knee deep in there with you. I think to that point is why you can't do this shit in 28 days.
I agree.
And put it all into a month and be like, yep, I got it.
No.
Because I don't.
I don't.
Right? If I did it in 28 days, I did a couple of things and I kind of bullshitted my way through it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
To say I did it. Like
Yeah.
I barely scratched the surface.
Yeah.
And that's not
Well,
that's not clean mind, clean body in my
isn't.
mind.
And the way I think that she describes all of this is it's a practice.
Absolutely.
This isn't a one and done. This isn't
No.
you check a box and you're good now.
Correct.
It's a practice.
Yeah.
We talking about phones and things like that. One of the things that she said that really struck me is the universe is not contained in your phone, even though it feels like it is. Literally everything is at your fingertips.
Yeah.
You have a question, you're curious about something, Google it, right? Couple of keystrokes and you've got some answers. It feels like the universe is in your phone, but it's not. She says there's a big world out there, so go outside, interact with other people and with nature, and have fun. Like that feels like something so basic it shouldn't even need to be said.
Agree.
And yet it feels really profound all at the same time, because that is the state that we're in.
Because we've gotten so far away from
That's
it.
what I'm talking
Yes.
about.
Right.
Yeah.
Your engagement with other people is through your phone.
Yes.
Agree.
Yeah.
And honestly, that actually leads to the next piece that I wanted to talk about. I cannot see the numbers anymore because it's getting dark outside. But it's talking about clean...
Page 38,
Thanks.
39.
It talks about clean mind practice. And again, threaded through these sections of this book, along with breathing, is the practice of meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Meditation has been... it started tapping me on the shoulder to say, hey, you need to start doing this. And it would pop up and it would pop up and it would pop up. And then it started like smacking me on the back of the head. And it says, hello, like I'm trying to get you to understand
you need
something.
to do this.
You need to start doing this. And then I'm like, no, or maybe later, or I don't have time, or I'm not good at it. And if I'm not good at it, then then I can't, if I'm not perfect, I can't do it. And I need to research it more so that I can be better. And then I'll start, like all of the excuses.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really so grateful for how she breaks it down, right? Don't set yourself up that you have to be perfect, because it's not something you're going to
Right.
perfect. You're not going to walk into it and be, like, I can't even sit like cross-legged the way they do, because my knees and my hips ache. And, it's,
But
like,
she says, so don't do that.
exactly.
Sit on the couch.
Exactly.
Sit in a comfortable chair.
Right. But, when you have that picture of perfection in your head and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, peaceful, and I'm going to glean so much, and
Right.
yeah,
All the secrets of the universe will be downloaded.
are going to come to me.
Right.
Right. And then there I am lying in
Thinking
bed,
about my grocery list.
drooling because I fell asleep. So I very much appreciate that, she breaks that down. And also, in this particular section, it was less about like work-life balance for me, but it was more about me balancing the expectations of me.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah, like
The expectations that I believe I have to live up to.
Yes, that.
May really come from myself as opposed to from other people.
Yes.
Or I've set it up so people can expect a certain behavior or level of service or whatever from me that was not really sustainable.
It's me versus me.
Yeah.
And I may have to undo some things.
And that's a little bit tricky. It's not impossible, but because when you change, the people around you have to change.
And I'm not even that's true. And I agree with that. I haven't even scratched that. I'm just talking about my level of perfection of me.
So your expectation
me.
of yourself.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. When you were giving that example earlier of you walk around and you see this isn't done and this isn't quite right and that's not put away and this is a project that hasn't been finished. I do that. Everywhere I am, in every situation.
Yeah,
and it just gets added to my list inside, and nobody else does it. I don't nobody else is pointing that shit out. It's only me.
Right.
And most of the time I'll just leave it inside of me, right?
Yeah.
Oh, gotta do this, gotta do that. Okay, don't forget this. Oh, next time I walk through, I need to do that.
Now you have a cluttered mind.
It's me versus me. It's a balance there. Everything does not need to be ideal and perfect in order for me to move forward.
Yep.
That's where I come in with this whole meditation thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're you're crazy, bitch.
No, not at all. I feel every word that you just said. It is, if meditation can give you a break from that for 5 minutes, it clears your head for 5 minutes.
Yeah. If I can figure out how to dive into it without having an expectation of what it's supposed to be. That's where I stop.
Should.
It's where I know.
Oh.
Don't should all over yourself. Yeah. That's what Scott says all the time. Quit shooting all over yourself.
Yeah. It's true.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a level of perfectionism, and it stops me.
Yep.
So then I'm afraid to, right? Then fear comes along with
Have
that.
you tried a guided meditation? There are apps,
not in a while,
walk you through, and so that it sort of forces you to.
It does. It puts that stuff away.
Yeah.
I have been thinking about it. I have not put myself in a situation in a while that I have actually done it, because when I have done it, I haven't liked them.
Yeah.
So, but I need to open that stuff back up again.
Maybe so. And if the expectation is just that you're clearing your mind for 5 minutes, as opposed to, I don't like it because they're interrupting my thought, or they're interrupting my meditation.
Or their voice is annoying, or they're too hoity-toity, or, they're too, what was the word I used before? Pious?
Pious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that. Like, I just want you to be a normal person. I don't need to go do all that.
Maybe you need to record your own.
No, because then I'd be super critical about all the ums and uhs and spaces and yeah. And then I'd say, damn it, and I'd start over again.
All right, never mind.
You're on your own.
Good luck with that. Oh gosh. She spent a lot of time about decluttering your mind, going for walks and cleaning up your relationships, and none of these things. I mean, you could go for a walk easily, but if you're able-bodied, but it's cleaning up your relationships like that's not going to happen in 28 days.
No, you could start. You could consider. And
well, you could start having boundaries like that. That helps clean some things up, right?
Yes.
You could practice active listening.
That too. Absolutely.
That's one of the things she talks about. Are you listening to respond, or are you listening to really listen?
Mm-hmm. And And the shift there is to simply create stillness.
Yep.
As opposed to over-engineer what's happening in your brain.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like that could be...
That could be life-changing in and of itself.
Absolutely.
For yourself and those that you're communicating with.
One of the things that she talks about is having a coloring party with friends.
Yeah.
I loved that idea.
I liked that too. I love to color.
I do too.
Yeah. Coloring and puzzles are a big deal for me.
How much fun would that be?
It would be a lot of fun.
Everybody gets a new coloring book and a new box of crayons.
Oh, you'd really like that.
I love that.
Put a little,
give me a
package of stickers in there. Some little scratch and sniffs.
Yeah. I don't even know if they make those anymore. But
they probably do.
I don't want scratch and sniffs. But
I do. I'll sniff those toxins right up. If it smells like pizza or buttered popcorn.
Strawberries.
Cotton candy?
Yeah.
I don't even like cotton candy, but I did like the smell of that sticker.
Yeah. Blueberry. Oh, gosh. Well, I don't know. We thought we were going to get through this in one episode, and we're almost an hour in here.
Yeah, leave it to your tabs.
Yeah. Hey. And we're only on page 58.
It's okay. I have far less tabs in the second half because there's a lot of exercises and things in the back, recipes and things. But I think this is a good breaking point.
I agree. All right. Well, we'll be back.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
We will.
So, all right. Well, part 2 coming along. In the meantime, we'll just end here with our usual thanks to Todd and Mind Garden Media for putting our podcast together and doing all of the editing and adding in our theme song and all of that sort of stuff. So thanks for all of your hard work, as always, Todd. I don't know how we could ever thank you enough or repay you for your... I mean, it's beyond generous and kind.
Absolutely. It's so funny. I appreciate how you move into this aspect of our podcast every time. I sit here nodding my head like nonstop, like everybody can see how much I truly appreciate the work and the effort and the time and the counseling that Todd offers and shares with us. But y'all can't see that.
No.
But I'm nodding profusely. So truly thankful, literally from the bottom of my heart too. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Todd. And if you're thinking about starting a podcast, or you have some questions, you just want to feel it out, or you are doing a podcast, you need some help,
do it.
Mind Garden Media.
That's right.
You can find them on Facebook. For sure. They may be other places, and I'm just not thinking of them right now. Maybe Instagram. I don't know, Twitter maybe. I'm not sure, but for sure Facebook. Mm-hmm. So you can search them out there.
Or connect with us and we can connect you as well.
For sure. We know a guy.
We do.
Yeah.
Thank you to our listeners as well. We continue to be astounded by the growth that we're seeing week over week and month over month. Love when we get feedback on episodes that we release. This week specifically, great episode this week. Loved it.
Right.
Referencing things from the episode. It just fills me up.
It fills me straight up too.
So thank you.
Thanks for connecting with us and being part of our community.
And holy shit, we're on Instagram now.
Oh, that's right, we are.
Girl, this is 9 months coming. It was like birth.
So terrible.
It was like a really hard, long birth. But we are here. We have our Instagram baby. So we are starting to post on Instagram, and my daughter Liz is helping to do some promotions on Instagram. So you're going to be seeing that coming out shortly as well.
Yep, for sure. Lots of fun things coming. New things for us. They're not new to really like anyone else on the planet, but they're new for us.
It's like a used car.
Yeah, kind of.
New to me.
Sort of. So thank you for your patience and following along on Facebook, and you can look for us on Instagram now as well. And again, thank you so much for coming along with us on this very fun journey.
We love you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Till next time.
Adios.
Toodaloo.